Hi, this is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I'm Siofra Bradigan. So, someone asked if I could do another video on crystals, using them, charging them, programming them, and so we're going to try and see if I can come up with different ways to explain what I do and what I'm talking about, because we all think in different images and that kind of thing. So, first off, thinking about this is like the crystals that I have actually programmed to do something basically has been to enhance what they already do. So starting with the things that I tend to wear, and this being one of them. So this is my piece of green tiger eye, and there's a lot of a history of tiger eyes helping to repel the evil eye, protection, and that kind of thing. So when I'm wearing this and when I put it on, I think about the properties of the stone and how it will reflect negativity away from me and protect me from negative energy from other people. And so I haven't like held it in my hand specifically to make it do that job. I just know enough about the natural properties of the stone, and my mental image and focus when I put it on is to reinforce its natural properties and to give it a little bit more of a focus, like just protecting me, my thoughts, my energy, my person. So, excuse me. So when I'm doing that kind of thing, it is like creating a mental matrix or image and putting it on the stone, but it's also like just thinking about it, using it on a daily basis. The only time I really take this off is when I'm bathing or swimming. I sleep in it most nights so that it's just always there, just sort of hanging on my chest and protecting my energy field from anything that could come in my direction that would be of a negative nature. So the idea of this, wearing this stone, is not to keep everyone's energy out, but is to protect me just from the negativity that some people might aim in my direction. So that would be one thing that I use. Is that this one? No, that's this one. Okay. I have a new bracelet that I haven't really started charging up yet. So this is a black tourmaline bracelet. And before I go to a large shopping center or outdoors where I don't know who I'm going to encounter, I put that on my left wrist, and I don't know why it's my left wrist. If it doesn't feel right for you to have it on your left wrist, you can do it on a different wrist, But that's where it feels right to me. And black tourmaline, one of its properties is to repel negative entities as well as negative energy. So again, this is a protection for my energy field to sort of keep my energy in and other people's energy out. And again, it's not like I specifically decided that I was going to charge this up. I'm just enhancing the job description, the natural properties of the stones that I'm using. And every time I put it on, again, it's like I think about that's what it does. So then that's what it's going to be doing for me. So, these are that kind of thing. So I have, let's see, I have another one that I use in a similar way, and this one here, this is silver sheen obsidian, and again, it has that property of this one will absorb negative energy and also reflect it because of the sheen of it. So I put this on the same wrist, on my left wrist, as this bracelet. And so they're together, sort of helping each other do the same kind of thing, and making sure that the negative energy doesn't get into me, as it were. So again, this one, the way I program it, if you can call it that, is just by thinking about it and using it. And that's one of the things is if you understand the natural properties of stones, just using them in a certain way will activate them. So you don't have to necessarily impose a matrix, thought form, process, mental construct, or whatever on them to give them a series of instructions. You know what they tend to do, you can enhance their abilities and sort of target more specifically what you want it to do, like for you. So, then I have some other stones that I tend to use for bringing in positive energy and for protection. So some of these I work with regularly and some of them I don't. This is a new one I have. I picked this up at the rock show, and this is ruby matrix. So it has protection, strength, courage, Mars kind of energy in it, and it is known to be a protective kind of thing. So again, I would probably put it on my left wrist to add to the protections that I already have on here. And then, nobody has to know that that's what they're doing. I'm the only one who needs to know that that's what they're doing. That's the beauty of wearing crystals and stones and things like that in your jewelry, because it sort of hides what you're doing in plain sight, and it's all about you. It's all about your energy and how you perceive your energy and how you utilize your understanding of the stones that you're using. So on my other wrist at the moment, I just got this. This is an amethyst bracelet. And amethyst is a stone I've always really liked a lot. We use it for a lot of things. It's connected to the acacia. It has other properties in it that are, calming and peaceful. That's why we used it on our peace ball that we have up above. That's the reason why we use it for the Amethyst Crystal Project, to try and connect all amethysts together for joy, peace, and tranquility, to try and help us, especially through this time, but in the future, in the past, whatever we can use it for. So I'm just beginning to use this one, but amethyst I think was the first stone I ever fell in love with when I was a kid. It was one of those things I was immediately attracted to. So to bring positive energy into my body when I'm doing stuff. And then I have a book. Where's my book? Here it is. If you're going to be working with crystals, I recommend doing research. And this is my book of collected research on different stones and stuff. So it's I'm going to right side up so I can actually read it. Nope, it was right side up. Never mind. All right. So what I've done is I've put in oops, this is not part of that. Let me take that out. So I've gotten a small notebook, and what I've done is I have loose leaf, small pages that I can put different crystals and stones that I'm researching and looking into in. And then I have it set up so I have some tabs in here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but to generally separate some of the, so I can find the right category. So I have an alphabetical order, because that's the easiest way for me to find stuff, is in alphabetical order. And so by doing this, I use 3 or 4 different books and sometimes the internet in order to research what the common information is about a stone and so forth, and sometimes I do a deeper dive to find out mythologies that might be associated with it, just to get a clear understanding of the properties and energetic properties of that particular stone. So, I can look up amethyst, and the first word that comes up for amethyst is calming. Stone is spirituality and contentment. Balances energy of intellectual emotion, physical bodies, and clears the aura. So, you know, just knowing that much about the stone allows me to start using it. And so, for example, this is chalcedony, which is a newer stone that I've started working with. And looking that one up, see if I actually have it in here. There's bloodstone, bronzite, calcite, carnelian. Here we are. So chalcedony is a nurturing stone. You can make a mineral elixir out of it. It promotes goodwill. So, you know, I want to have people thinking of me in a positive sense when I'm in a store, just in case. Why not, right? It's supposed to bring mind, body, emotions, and spirit into harmony and instills feelings of benevolence and generosity, removes hostility and transforms melancholy into joy and eases self-doubt. So it's a good stone for me to have on my right wrist for the positive part of the stuff that I'm trying to do, and end up with, you know, a balance between getting rid of the negative and bringing in the positive, that kind of thing. And then this is some agate, sort of a orange agate, which I think of as having energy. I don't know if I actually did any research into agates specifically. Apparently not. So I just wear it. So there. That's the way that works. So, understanding what the stones are, if you've watched my video on wand making, you can see how I use stones in the manufacture of my wands. And the reason I use them is because I'm trying to draw a specific kind of energy to the tool that I'm making. So this is my Mars wand, and so it has a lot of that ruby matrix stuff on it, different kinds of it. Everything on here is one of those types of stones. Some are polished, some are not, some are raw. And you know, I liked the fact that this is ironwood, which is associated with Mars, the metal iron, not the wood necessarily, but it fits in my brain as far as what I associate with the planet, and strength, courage, power, the positive aspects of Mars energy, because we need to have that protection sometimes. So I decided to try an experiment with this, and I had some extra, let me find this piece in here. I got a basket full of rocks. Okay, so I had an extra piece of the ruby matrix left over that was too big for me to actually put on the wand, and I thought, you know what, that could be an interesting thing to try out, because this stone is like the other stones. They're, you know, like they've been sitting together for a long time. They obviously have an energetic connection. And if I charge this up for protection, for carrying with me, for that power and courage and strength and protection, then that could be useful. So this is probably one of the only stones that I've done that kind of specific work with that I can think of at the moment. And so, you know, the pentagram is the symbol for Mars to start with, which is all about protection and balance. It's the number 5, it's the symbol of Mars. And so what I did was I took this and I drew the pentagram on it with that in mind when I was doing it. And then I had it on my altar, and I laid my wands down, and I laid the stone on top of the wands to give even more of a connection to the Mars energy. And, you know, every time I looked at it, I thought about that's what it was doing. It's like, I'm going to put you here, you're going to absorb the Mars energy that I'm collecting in my wand and transfer some of that energy and connect that to this stone. And so when my daughter was going through a difficult time, had to get a restraining order against somebody and had to be in court, I brought this with me when we went to court and gave it to her so she could put it in her pocket. And so she had it in her pocket, and she believed what I told her it was for, because, you know, she's my daughter and she knows me. And it helped her on the stand when she had to talk about difficult things, to say, you know, to tell her side of what was going on and to get the restraining order that she needed. And funny thing, she didn't want to give it back to me. I had to like remind her that this was a loan, not a gift, and so, you know, give me my rock back. And so she did. She let me have it back. But if I hadn't insisted, she would have kept it, I'm sure. She was just like, yep, she gave it to me, this is mine. It's like, no, this is a loan, this isn't yours forever. But, you know, I was glad that I did that, and I thought that that was a good use of both my wand that I had charged up and made, and the stone, connecting it to it. So there's like an energetic connection between the stone and my wand, so it draws on that energy that I've collected into the wand, and then I can carry it with me. And I imagine you can do that with anything, with any wand or tool or whatever. You can take a stone and you can connect it energetically to the tool or object that you've already charged, and then you can bring that energy with you in a smaller, more discrete form. So why not, right? So this is one of our pieces of amethyst that we use. I don't know how well that shows up color-wise, but it's a nice dark amethyst that we picked up, and it's in its, you know, covering, geode outside covering. And I'm pretty sure that this is not dyed. I'm not sure how much dyeing a stone actually changes the energy. I think it only changes the look. So I don't think that having a dyed stone is necessarily bad, although I always gravitate towards natural, undyed, unheated material when I can get it. But anyway, so if you want to know how we programmed this, it's an entire process just for this stone, and that would be the video, the Amethyst Crystal Project video, which we charge up these different amethysts on the full moon every month and connect them to each other. And in this case, we're working with the mental and astral sphere and Akasha, and we're bringing the energy, we're charging the energy up with joy, peace, and tranquility, feeling that energy in the astral plane, thinking about what that means in the mental plane, going up into the Akashic plane to like try and spread it through time and space, and then bring it down to make it real. So that's what that is, and that is a good example of charging a crystal for a specific purpose, and that's one of the only ones we've really done that way. You know, not just enhancing it, but just making the stone itself the thing, not part of a thing. So that would be that one. And I'm not going to go through all of those details in this video, so I'm going to see about adding that as like the next video to watch or something on the end of this one when we upload it. So that would be that. So, and then I have other stones that help me to do certain things. This is difficult to see. It's a type of jasper. The shiny spots are from the light, not from the stone itself, obviously. And it's called a polychrome. And when I first saw it, I was attracted to it immediately, and I wasn't sure why. And then when I held it, this stone helps me to differentiate between my different spirit bodies. So when I hold this, I can feel the distinct layers and differences between my physical form, my astral form, my mental form, and my spirit form. And so I have discovered that it's not a good stone for me to work with just before trying to go to sleep, because then it's like I'm flying in and out of all my forms. And so if I want to sleep, then it's not a good one to work with. But that's the thing, is like working with stones and crystals, part of that process is being able to tune your energy into what it is that it's doing for you. I don't know if this stone will work the same for anyone else, You know, for all I know, it's just unique to me in this particular form of Jasper. Um, but yeah, it definitely did that for me. So I can work with those different aspects of me by holding the stone, and then getting in touch with those, different bodies that we all have within us. Physical body is just one part of our existence, and the others are not easily seen by most people. So, there's I think keeps making me go dim, so I don't know that I'm there. All right, so that is something to learn. Like, what a book might say about this might not mention that at all. So it's not just about researching and finding out what other people think the stones are for, but it's also about your own intuition and your own energetic system and how you interact with that stone. So, crystals and rocks and things are like, I have them everywhere. I have them next to my bed. I have them on my wrists. I have them in my pockets. It's just all sorts of stuff. So, and each one of them is going to have a slightly different energy. So, for example, I started working with the apatite that I bought and the piece of Angelite, which I also bought at the same time. And so I looked these guys up to understand about what they were supposed to be doing. And let's see. One of the things I like about this book is then I can add pages to it. Because it was driving me crazy. I was writing it in all kinds of other forms, and then it's like I learned something new and then couldn't find it. So, appetite, according to some of the books I read, stimulates the intellect, dissolves aloofness and negativity, useful in the expansion of knowledge. So if you're trying to study something, it might be a good stone to have. If you're trying to have an intellectual discussion about something, it would be a good stone to have in your pocket. Useful in the expansion of knowledge, so yet again, that would be a good stone to have. Helps to integrate, coordinate, and balance emotional, physical, and etheric bodies. So it helps make a smooth transition between your different forms. Your astral and mental and spirit bodies. It can stimulate the development of clairvoyance, all the clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and awareness of the devic worlds. It can give you past life insights and access to your telepathic abilities. But the thing is like there's so many different things that each of these can do. It's figuring out which aspect of it you most want to work with. Because this also assists in deeper states of meditation and reflection, raising kundalini, helps embrace creativity, clears mental confusion. And most people use appetite as a hunger suppression. With all the other things that it's good for, curbing your appetite and going on a diet seems to be the most common use that people have of this. And so, supposed to help mobilize energy reserves for healthy formation of bones, cells, and teeth, treat arthritis, painful joints, bone fractures. So you can take one of these stones and look at these different properties and figure out what is in your life right now that you want it to focus on, because like I said, there's all these possibilities, and we don't know for sure which ones are accurate. These people have come up with this stuff. We don't know how clairvoyant they were to come up with this ability, what research did they do to come up with these ideas. But if we believe that something that they've said about the stone is accurate, then it becomes that for us. And that's one of the ways that it works. And if it turns out that it is actually its attribute, all the better. So I think that, your own intuition is definitely a part of what you need in order to do it. So I have taken to having this in my left pocket during the day when I'm wearing a dress that has pockets. Today I'm not, so I can't do that. As a way to help energize my body and keep my mind clear, and help with my metabolic system. because I suspect I need some assistance with that my doctor doesn't think I need. So that's one of the things I'm using it for. But again, it's like I could focus on different aspects of this at different times. If I was trying to remember past lives at this point, which I've remembered enough of them, I'm not interested. I have natural telepathy, so if it enhances that or not, I probably wouldn't notice, so I don't need it for that. So it just depends upon your particular needs, where you're at, and what the stone can do for you can change as you change. So then the Angelite, just this one here, I've been putting in my right pocket, and one of the words that they use to describe this is stone of awareness, represents peace and brotherhood, facilitates conscious contact with the angelic realm, enhances telepathic communication. So both of these in pockets. I guess I'm golden, right? I've got telepathy coming out of my pockets. Enables out-of-body journeys, which I don't want to have while I'm cleaning the house. Deepens attunement and heightens perception, provides protection for the environment or body, especially when taken as an elixir. So you can actually make a crystal elixir out of this. They have a list of things that are not okay. You don't want to make an elixir out of everything. But making a mineral elixir, a stone elixir, is fairly simple. You just make sure you wash it really, really well so that there's no foreign bodies or anything on it. And you can stick it in some, I wouldn't recommend distilled water because that gives you imbalance as far as the electrolytes and stuff like you need in your body, but some filtered water of some kind, and leave it overnight. You can even just dip it in if you're not sure about it. The idea of putting a stone in water is to allow the properties of that stone that you're trying to work with to imbue the water, and it doesn't matter what time of day or night you're doing it, or what phase the moon happens to be in, or what time of year, or anything. So you can access energy anytime, and then when you drink it in, you're drinking in the energetic parts of that stone. But always do your research, because some stones are toxic and they're not good for you. So that would be the Angelite. It's actually formed from celestite, and it helps you accept things you can't change, which is something I definitely need sometimes. But that's not why I have it in my pocket. I just have it in my pocket because I like the idea of putting it in my pocket and, maybe just helping me out. So I'm still learning about this stone. It's supposed to be good to apply to your feet, on blocks meridians, resonates with the throat. That would be from the rainbow system because of its color of being blue. So it may or may not work for that. I mean, I'm always hesitant to lump every blue stone in with the throat, every green stone in with the heart, every violet stone in with the third eye, or dark blue stone, and every violet or white stone with the crown chakra. It's like that's just a system someone came up with that makes it easier for them to categorize things, but it's not always correct. So there's that. Supposed to be good for repairing tissue and blood vessels, balancing the fluids within the physical body, and connect as a diuretic. So again, this can be used for weight management. So appetite suppression in one pocket and diuretic in the other as I'm working. It also helps to balance the physical body with all the etheric realms and so forth. So, it's I'm learning more about them, but I'm not as familiar with them as I am with some of my other stones. And that's the thing, is by using them, holding them, having them, seeing how I react to them. I have noticed that when I'm using them in my pockets of my dress, towards the evening, if I don't take them out, I'm too energetic and hyper. It sort of starts to build up in my system, and then I have a hard time sleeping. So that's a note that I have about these. Okay, get that back. So then there are stones that are just so perfect the way they are. This is a piece of selenite, or satin spar, as people sometimes call it. And some people get into an argument about what it should be called. It's like it's all a form of selenite. I don't think it matters. To me, it doesn't matter. And selenite is like a self-cleansing stone. And so if you have, I have a much larger piece of selenite on my nightstand, and so since it will cleanse any negative energy that's accumulated in any stone and naturally charge up the stone however the stone has been charged. So it will enhance its natural qualities and clear it out. So then you don't have to worry about whether you need to put your stones out in the moonlight or in the sunlight or whatever to cleanse them. Just have a nice big chunk of selenite and stick it on the selenite. When I was at the rock show, they had a selenite bowl. I was very tempted to get, because then I could just put my stones in the bowl. But then I wasn't sure. It's a very soft stone. It's only a 2 on the Mohs hardness scale, so it's easy to scratch, and it can dissolve somewhat in water. And selenite is named after Selene, goddess of the moon, so it is the original moonstone. Before we have what we now call moonstone, this was moonstone. And you can see it's got that kind of white light, and it is a natural fiber optic substance. So if you put a light through one end, a light will come out of the other onto the wall, which is way cool to do. You get a flashlight and stick it in there, and like poof, there it goes. It's on the other wall. And that's just kind of neat because all the fibers are in one direction. So it's a marvelous stone, and I don't feel I have to charge it up to do anything. We have it in here in our temple. We have a piece of it above the peace ball on the rafter, and it just does its thing and spreads out. This is the image that I use in my tree meditation that we do when we're trying to get the universal light, the white light with the golden sparks. This is the white light part of that. And the golden sparks is, not in this stone, but this is the color of that light, and it is like solidified light energy to me. So again, it really depends upon your own perceptions and experience and your openness and stuff to stones and crystals. Because this is a crystal, because it grows. Stones do not grow. Stones have they have a shape and a form that other people can impose upon them, like, lapis, carnelian, malachite. Those are stones, but amethysts and garnets and selenite and diamonds and, things that are made into jewelry, those are crystals, generally speaking. So, and then of course there's some things that we use like stones and crystals that aren't, like amber is not a stone or a crystal. It is a petrified resin from the sap of a tree. And then petrified wood is not a stone or a crystal. I mean, it's stone-like. I mean, it's got, the same properties of hardness and stuff, but it is a specialized piece of wood that has been in a unique position to become solidified like that. So, and then coral is not a stone or a crystal. It's a exoskeleton of a sea creature. And then a pearl, again, is not a stone or a crystal. It's a secretion of an irritation in an oyster, trying to keep this piece of sand or grit or whatever that got into it away from the rest of its body. So it's like a calcium deposit, but it's beautiful to look at. And so we can use those things for different stuff. So not everything that we use like that is actually a stone or a crystal if we want to get scientific-ish. And I say ish because I'm not completely versed in that. So now this is something that I have by my bedside, and it's a piece of obsidian. And I use obsidian around the house. I have like obsidian in corners to absorb negative energy. And so when you give a crystal or a stone a job that's identified as part of its purpose, then you're getting into a little bit more of a mental construct kind of thing. So I, like in my office, I have a really nice smoky quartz formation. I can't think of what to call it. Anyway, I have a really nice one. And I have that in the corner of my office at the foot, at the part of the room that's at the foot of my massage table. And I have, when I put it there, I visualize that, its natural properties, just like obsidian is to absorb negative energy. So they absorb pain and negative energy from my client that's on the table. And then I have roots. I just dropped my book. I have roots going down into the earth to ground out that negative energy and to cleanse that crystal. So if I'm going to go to the trouble of giving a crystal a job that I want it to do and charge it up by consistent use, I don't want to run around willy-nilly and cleanse the thing and have to start over from scratch, because that's what cleansing is supposed to do. It's supposed to take out everything you've put into it. And having to start over once a month just seems like a huge waste of time and energy to me. And so when I use stones, they're self-cleansing, or they're by a piece of selenite that'll cleanse them, that kind of thing. So, that would be a way to use stone in your environment. In fact, I just had a conversation about this morning. And you can put any of those types of black stones. You can use obsidian, you can use jet, you can use smoky quartz for absorbing negative energy and grounding it out so that it doesn't accumulate in your space wherever you're protecting. So that would be that kind of thing. So then there's like making something out of crystals that is not a wand, like this crown that I made. And this is made with selenite and kyanite. And I made it that way because of the properties of it. And I think I have some black tourmaline, small pieces of black tourmaline on the edges in here, in between the selenite. So the selenite brings in the light energy. The black tourmaline makes sure no negative energy gets in. And the kyanite has got its own attributes of spiritual connection. And sort of like, for me, kyanite is an air stone, but not like just an air element stone, but more of a refined air, like air on another plane. So instead of physical air, it's like mental air, and it helps to clarify the mind. And then, copper is easy to manipulate. So when I put this on, it like is on my third eye. I have my thing on here, so it's hard to get it on there. There we go. Whoops. Looking at myself, I'm backwards. It's always weird. All right. So I designed it that way so that the drop of kyanite is hanging right on my third eye. And this helps me if I'm doing some specific kind of scrying or meditation or whatever. So using stones to enhance what I'm doing and add an assist to what I'm doing is what I see them as being best for. So get this off. And I just thought you might like to see the natural form of hematite. This is a chunk of hematite. And hematite, of course, is associated with Mars because it's mostly iron. And iron's associated with Mars. And the reason why, even though it's not red, it is associated with the color red because if you like file it and you file some pieces off of a piece of hematite and add water to it, it will turn red because the iron will immediately oxidize. And in ancient Egypt, they used to use that for rouge. Women would use a piece of hematite and get it wet until it started to oxidize and then rub that on their cheeks for highlights and stuff like that to make their cheekbones look better. But I just thought it was neat to get an unshaped form of it I found in one of the rock stores in my area. So that was pretty awesome. And then there are stones that represent something important to you. So like this here is a crystal from a cave that I was in. And I had a pretty intense experience in that cave. I had to tune into my ability to think on my feet as I was stuck in a chimney, unable to move because my legs, the chimney was as wide as my legs were long, and I was suddenly unable to go up or down at that point, and I had to think about it. So it was a very intense experience to have as a caver, and yeah, we weren't prepared for that idea. It's like my husband's legs are long, his arms are long, he's taller than I am. He's just like boop, 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 no problem. And me, I'm like, I don't know, I don't see anything to hang on to. Maybe I can do this thing. And then I'm stuck, and if I fall down, I'm going to break a whole bunch of bones. And this is going to be really not fun. And so, this was one of the pieces of crystal that we was the bottom of the cave was just covered with these things, and they called it Crystal Stanislaus Cave. It's the name of the cave because that's one of the things. The whole thing is filled with this stuff, and so we picked up some of the debris on the floor, and I brought this piece with me, and then I lost it forever. And then one day I was going to bed. I always go in front of my kitchen sink to fill my water bottle before I go to bed, and there it was sitting on one of the shelves next to the sink. And I look at those shelves every night when I go to bed. It was never there before. So I'm pretty sure the fairies brought it back to me, and they put it up there. And so, stones don't have to have just their own properties and so forth, but they can hold your memories and your experiences and stuff in them, and be a reminder of things. So, when you go to I think Ian has some small stones that he picked up for his staff, for a bag on his staff, at some of the special places that we've gone to over the years, and add them to like a little medicine pouch kind of thing that holds those places in memory on his staff. And that's a wonderful idea to do. And when we go camping, I always bring a bunch of rocks, my stones, my crystals with me, because if there's something wrong with the energy of the place and it needs some help, I create crystal machines. I don't know, before it became a popular thing to create those, like, where they have all the crystals, the same crystals and whatnot in the same places, etc. You get those boards, you can make a crystal grid for yourself. But before that ever became a popular thing, I had an experience where I figured out how to create a crystal machine to change the energy in a portal that was open, that was keeping a spirit stuck so that the spirit could escape. And that was interesting because I'd not thought about that before, and that was in 87, I think, somewhere around there, 87 or 88, something in Santa Cruz. So imagination is a big part of doing stuff with crystals. And like when I'm setting crystals up, I'm looking at their properties. What's the energy going in this direction, the energy going in that direction? How do I want to shift the energy in the space I'm in? When we were at the cabin, being a power spot, it collected a lot of negative stuff from people who'd been there before. And so I used, some of my wands and my stones and laid them out on the ground until I could feel a shift in the energy field and know that it was working. So being sensitive to that kind of stuff is definitely a help, because if you're not sensitive to it, then you're sort of working blind and you don't know for sure if it's actually doing what you want it to. So hopefully this helps. I guess we'll call this crystals 2 or something, or more crystals or whatever. But it's like it's such a huge field of information that's out there, and such a personal experience that everyone has with them. Some people connect with them, some people don't. I mean, I always connected with stones, but not the way I do now. I mean, I just, I've always liked them, always wanted to have them around, and always wanted to touch them, or, pick them up and take them home and whatnot. But this is like evolved into a more, I don't know, a symbiotic relationship with the Crystal Kingdom, maybe. that I did not understand until I got into it. So there you go. Hopefully this is going to be useful information for some of you guys. And if you have questions about it, please feel free to ask. If I know an answer, I will tell you. If I don't, that's the way it goes, because I don't know everything. All right, so hope you all are having a wonderful week, or at least surviving one way or the other. And this is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I'm Siofra Bradigan. Blessed be.